This is Historical AF. My name is Natalie.
Hello, and I'm Kyna. We're a historian and a librarian bringing you some funny, spooky, morbid, and historical nuggets. I don't remember what I'm saying. Weird shit. Who are we? I don't even know. Okay, this is going well. I can't go out of order or else I don't know what I'm doing.
I constantly tell people what our podcast is, and I always only remember 5. I never remember what the 6th one is, but I'm like, then there's something else. But it's good. It's a good show.
It's like, we know what we're talking about. We really do.
Yeah, it's called Google, so you know. But yeah, today, episode 45 or 45 is folklore and urban legends.
Yes.
And fun nuggets like that.
Yeah, I've noticed that when we have a really, death-filled episode, the next one is usually a little lighter. Folklore is a little more fun, a little less death. I mean, a little. Mm-hmm. People still die because this is historical AF, but less death.
Sort of. It's like potentially fake death, maybe?
Yes. Maybe that's why I don't find it as bad, because it's potentially not real. Maybe. Although, I'm really excited. I found one lore where the actual truth is actually worse than the folklore. I was like, whoa, that usually doesn't happen. Usually the truth is pretty tame compared to the folklore. And it happened in Arkansas. What? So.
Of course it is.
Yeah, good times. So how have you been?
Good. I did an escape room this past weekend.
Oh, how did that go? Did you win?
We escaped. We made it. It was with Emery and a couple of friends, and it was an 80s classroom, and so it was really cool. There was a whole, a story involved, and so the people in charge, they put us in a little hallway, and there were 2 doors, the principal's office and a classroom. And the story was she's going to go and distract the principal while we break into that classroom and break out of detention. So we're going to go into that classroom and pull the fire alarm. And so it's very working out a Breakfast Club kind of vibe going on.
Yeah.
And we had our hall passes, and it was really neat. There were lockers, and it was just, when you went in, I'm like, this is legit. An old classroom. There were maps and overhead. It was just really neat. And we escaped. It was all good. I was really worried, especially Emery. And we would feel claustrophobic and trapped, especially with him. But once we got in there, we were joking around and having fun. It didn't feel like that at all. Now, if we had stayed in that small hallway, it might have been a different story, but because it was us 4 adults, 3 out of the 4 are round. It was small, but when we got into that classroom, it was perfectly comfortable and fine, and it was cool. There was a hidden passageway with a crawl space, and you had to figure out how to get out of it, which led to a closet, which had a clue in there. And there were all these different locks of words, colors, directions, and then there were pressure sensors, black light codes. It was just really neat. 80s music was playing as clues. And the lady said that was sad. There's that song, I can't, what's the number? It's 8675309.
309. Yeah.
I knew it. I was like, is she gonna do this? And it's hard to say it without doing that.
Yeah.
And she said it's sad how many people don't know that's a phone number. And on the teacher's desk, there's a phone, and we're like, oh my gosh, was typing into the phone, and it popped open a drawer. And then she said, yeah, a lot of people, the younger people that do this don't know it's a phone number. I'm like, that's sad.
Is it a rotary phone? Because then they wouldn't know how to work it either.
No, it's actually just a regular.
Oh, okay.
But even then, I don't think it mattered if you pulled the receiver up or not, because you really just need to punch in the numbers for the code. to pop open the door. But we did actually answer it and do it just in case. So I don't know. But I have seen people try to do the rotaries, and first of all, they didn't even pick up the receiver. They just kept dialing. And then in mid dial, you always fuck up somewhere on a number. God damn it, then you have to start over. But then, they didn't even make it because they didn't even pull up the receiver.
Ellen has a new segment where it's like, can millennials do this? And she'll have people come up and it's things like rotary phone. Can you dial this number? And they're like, I don't know what I'm doing.
That made me happy.
It was very funny. I want to do one now. I've been a little worried because I don't want to feel dumb, but they sound so fun.
They are, and the lady made a joke about smarter people recognize something. I'm not going to give it away, anything else in that room away, because I don't know how long. Luckily, that place keeps a room. I don't know how many mystery rooms they have. They keep it for a couple of years, and then they change it out, which is great because they keep things current. I don't want to give any more clues away. But she did. There was something like a trap door that people notice right when they walk in the room, which we did not. We noticed it about 20 minutes in. I'm like, oh, hey, this looks like it will probably move when we get to that. And she said, smarter people notice that right away. And we're like, oh. Okay. I don't think
kind of rude.
I don't even think she meant it. I don't know. I'm like a Pollyanna when it comes to this. But the other girl that was in our group, she's like, she would not let that go. She's like, and I'm like,
and fuck you again.
And we were in the geography classroom, so we were geography clues. And I'm like, smarter people know geography. That's what they think it is. And we looked at the percentage. Only 40% of people escaped that room.
Oh, wow.
And granted, I think if we finished at 59 minutes, 57 seconds.
Wow.
Just seconds before. But I think we said too many jokes, and we spent too much time on a geography test before we had all the clues we needed to actually figure it out. We started it too soon. And I'm like, if we hadn't just waited, we would have been done a lot sooner. But it was still so much fun. Emery immediately started looking up other places to go to and other rooms. They're doing a potions one. Like a dungeon, very Harry Pottery. It's probably going to be the next one.
That'll be really cool when you guys come visit me. There's one in San Antonio, and the entrance is giant gargoyles. It looks so fucking cool.
Ooh.
I want to go.
This one is the Mystery Mansion, and it's actually an old Victorian house.
Ooh.
100 years old. I don't know. It's super old. Actually, probably is about 100 years old. I think it was built in the 20s, so it actually is about that. And they've just converted all the different bedrooms, and it really is like a little mansion, and they've converted several of the bedrooms into mystery rooms.
Cool. That's really neat. I need to do one. I'm glad you had fun. I was wondering how that went.
Great. We're at 100% success so far, so yay. What about yourself? How are you doing?
I'm doing good. I've been spending a lot of time at the library here, and I was really excited. So,
your books.
Yeah, I have 50 books right now. But I was chatting up a librarian, and I found out that it's relatively new. But they said that a company came in to build their library, kind of like layman. They had somebody come in and do our teen center or whatever. And when they cleared out all the land, they kept all the pecan trees. So every piece of wood in the library is the tree that was originally there. So it's built into the landscape, but it's also part of what was always there. I thought that was so freaking cool. Even their desks are the trees. I was really blown away. It's beautiful. So look up the Seguin Public Library. It's gorgeous. One whole wall is just glass overlooking a creek. And there's walking trails, and it's so pretty.
That sounds nice. That sounds very Frank Lloyd Wright,
Yeah.
Build into the space without disrupting it too much.
It looks like one too. You can definitely see the inspiration. But yeah, I was just blown away. But other than that, we don't really celebrate holidays, so we don't do Valentine's Day.
Amory's very anti-Valentine's. This just more happened to be on that weekend. And it was our friend's wife, and who's now become, actually, like, we're probably all friends. But she's the one, like, I want to surprise Jeff. And Emery and Jeff are so close. We all three of us were close because we worked together, and then I left, and so now Emery and him are close, and now Brandy and I make jokes about how they're girlfriends.
Oh, that's funny. A little bromance.
Yeah, basically. And they totally own up to it too. They have no shame about it. And so yeah, Brandy was like, "Hey, would you and Allie want to do this?" And it just played out. But if we did not have that, it would be a day of binging shows and playing Mortal Kombat, which is about what we do.
Well, that sounds fun too. Yeah, I also binged that new Ted Bundy documentary on Amazon Prime, and it was the first time that his first attacker, she survived, has ever talked, and then his girlfriend and the kid talked, and they normally don't do interviews either, so it was really interesting.
Okay, really, I'll have to check that out.
Yeah, it's really short. I think it's like 6 episodes, but yeah, I binged it all in an afternoon. But I was like, whoa, because like they have family photos, and they were talking about, because she's the one that turned them in, and like the things that clicked in her head, being like, there's no way it could be him, and then it ended up being him. But it was wild. Yeah. But she wrote the book that Extremely Wicked and whatever it's called. I can't remember. It's really long. The one on Netflix.
I don't want to say Extremely Wicked and Terribly Funny. I feel like that might not be the correct one, but I think it's a time thing.
Something wicked is in it, but she wrote the
Something
book.
Wicked This Way Comes. I know. That's that.
Yeah, she wrote the book on it. But at the end, like, her and her daughter are just like, they'd met some other people that had kind of been in that circumstances, and they were like, you know, dwelling on this is just giving him power. So they were like, we're done. This is the last time we're going to talk about him. So I was like, good for them. It was kind of like their closure. I really enjoyed it. But I did see a meme after I watched it. This guy was like, how many goddamn documentaries about Ted Bundy are there going to be?
Okay.
Like, I know him more than my own family. Yeah. It's like, we know more about him than we know about our uncles or whatever, like our actual family. There's so many.
I know. And they all came out within 2 years. That's what I think is really ridiculous. In our, whenever, I don't know who all production companies that they just like all simultaneously to.
Yeah, Amazon did too. The one is his tapes of him talking, and then this one is just like a documentary thing. But
I wish they just pulled straws. Like, okay, you're gonna take Dahmer, you're gonna take Bundy.
The one thing I did appreciate is that this particular one, like after every scene, they're tracing all the victims and like how he went from different places. And after they like sum up a part, they flash every single woman on the screen, and they do it multiple times. So it's more about them than him. And I hate when people kind of glorify him, and they kind of talk about like how he's so charming and handsome. And they even had some of the old journalists that were like, I look back and I was smiling and I was giddy talking to him. They're like, I'm absolutely disgusted at myself because nobody thought he could do something that horrible because he was so handsome and charming. And like the lady that tried to get him acquitted, or not acquitted, but stay of execution, she quit law immediately after because he admitted to try to get more time. Highly recommend. I'm spoiling everything, but it's really good. Everything else I've been doing is just...
Shall I get the ball rolling?
Sure. Should we roll for it?
Sure. Sounds good.
Funny.
Oh, that is me.
Yeah.
Mine's not really funny, not gonna lie. It was hard for me to find funny things.
I could see that, yeah.
A lot of the stories I found taught lessons or someone died. Like, this was hard to find. I did find like a couple. Like, I'll read it, especially this one. It's short and sweet, and I love it. It is Indian folklore.
Ooh.
Like Indian. I know we say Native Americans, but just in case you get confused.
I appreciate the clarification. Drink.
I know. Yep. Okay. So here's a little folk tale that is between two wives, is what it's called. And this one, I don't know, I just have mixed feelings about it. Like, it's kind of funny and dumb. And hey, we'll get to it.
All right, let's do this.
All right. A middle-aged man had two wives, one about the same age as him, and the other much younger. Since the wives quarreled a lot, the man built two houses for each of them in different parts of town. They came to a mutual agreement that the man would stay with each of them on alternate days. Whenever he stayed with the young wife, she plucked out his gray hair, as she wanted her husband to look younger. Whenever he would stay with his first wife, she plucked out all of his dark hair, and as she didn't want him to look any younger than herself. As a result, the poor man ended up without a single hair on his head. The end. I'm like,
that's it. Oh, it's a cautionary tale. Don't have two wives. Or
I guess that's what it is. They'll just drive you crazy to pull your hair out.
That's hilarious. God, I love folktales. They're so random. Just, and the things that survived, you know, like most of the time this stuff is oral tradition. To think that that's what survived. Man.
Yeah, I mean, and on this article, I just read it from, there are other Indian ones. There is an interesting one it's called Bayatal Pasisi. Pasisi? Sure.
Right.
I don't know. Anyways, it's an old vampire tale.
Ooh.
Okay, so with that response, I will read it.
I like vampires.
Me too. Spoiler, we will get to more later.
Yes.
Because I didn't know about, actually. So a Bayatal is believed to be one of the oldest vampire stories from India. King Vikram once promised a tantric sorcerer that he captured a Batal, which is a vampire-like spirit. And so he called the sorcerer and he told him to bring it to him. Every time Vikram caught the Batal, the spirit would escape by posing a riddle. The deal between the two was that at the very end of each puzzle, Vikram was unable to answer the question correctly. The spirit would willingly be taken prisoner if Vikram knew the answer but still stays silent. Of course, his head would explode into 1,000 pieces, and if the king answered correctly, the Batal would free him to go away. Does that make sense? So basically, every time he got it right, the spirit got free. And every time he got it wrong, the spirit would agree to stay his prisoner.
Oh, okay.
So I read it. I had to read it a couple times. I'm like, wait, what is this? But it's like the reverse of what you would think. And the trick is he could sense if he really knew the answer or not. Because Vikram was a wise man and he knew all of the answers, basically. But he couldn't lie that he didn't know the answers. And I think that's why the spirit played this trick.
Oh.
Because he's like, he kept it easy enough. But on the 25th time this happened, he did not know the answer. He got it wrong. And so that made the spirit be captive. And on the way to the tantrics, to the house or whatever, the spirit revealed he was actually a prince. And he also said that it was the sorcerer's plan all along to sacrifice Vital's soul so that he could attain immortality and that Vikram, too, would be killed in the process. The spirit... I know, it's like, ooh. I'm wondering how true this plot theory is, though. And the spirit... But anyways, the spirit advised the king on how to outwit the tantric and save both their lives. After Vikram assassinated the evil sorcerer, the Batal cleansed him of all his sins, and he also vowed to come to his aid whenever needed.
Oh.
I know, that's how I felt too. Like,
I was Googling what tantric meant, because all I ever hear that word used in is tantric sex. Sorry. I was like, I can't mean what that means.
You would, wouldn't you? Good
I'm
Lord.
a disgrace to this podcast.
I know.
I am ashamed.
I mean, disgrace is like a strong word, but you don't want the dick.
I can't be the only person that thought that, though. Oh, man.
I had no idea that's what it also is.
Oh, well.
I have an innocent brain half the time when it comes to that department.
Well, I also took a Asian art history class. Is
there any classes you haven't taken, ma'am?
Oh, God, I know. I was in college forever. But, yeah, a lot of the art is tantric sex. Like the things we studied. So it's a scholarly reason. I know that. That's what I'm getting at. Trying to dig myself out of this hole. It's fine.
I'm like, you're trying pretty hard on that one.
Anyway, yeah. There's
a couple little fun Indian folk tales, and I'll post, or we'll add this to our sources, and you can read the rest of them if you'd like. Pretty interesting. There's even like a little cartoon picture of it.
Aw. I love folklore so much. This makes me so happy. I had so much fun researching. It's just also delightful, except for the death stuff.
Sometimes it is kind of fun. It's my morbid curiosity.
Yeah.
All right, so what should be our next one?
Do you want spooky, morbid, or historical?
Let's do spooky.
Okay. So I found a list of the spookiest lore in every state. But since we don't have time to do all 50 states, I decided to do all of the states that our Patreon is from. And then also a country, because we have somebody that's outside of the United States now. So, starting with Alaska. It's all in alphabetical order, too, not by preference of Patreon. So, don't at me.
Just in case.
Just in case. So Alaska has the Alaska Triangle. It's encompassing an area ranging from near Juneau in the southeast to the northern Barrow region to the western metropolis of Anchorage. It's called the Alaska Bermuda Triangle. It's comprised of some of the most barren wilderness. Oh my God. Wilderness. I did it again. Why can't I say that word? Wilderness. Barren wilderness of the United States, and it apparently craves souls. Dun, dun, dun.
Ooh, new inflection on that one.
Dun, dun, dun. Yeah. More than 20,000 people have gone missing without a trace in this area in the past half century alone. That is a lot of people.
It is.
Poof, gone. It says, are they being consumed by the mythological beings like the beastly Kalut or the ghoulish kidnapper Qualupalik?
Obviously.
So sorry, natives. Are they lost on extreme hikes, or are they just simply vanishing into a dark vortex? I like how ominous this gets. I should mention that a lot of this is from Thrillist, so a lot of the fun jokes I kept in. So good job, Thrillist people.
I know, they always have like little fun.
Thank you.
You're not right. Good job.
So nobody knows, though it's not for a lack of trying, when the government lost House Majority Leader Hale Boggs Cessna to the Triangle in 1972, a massive search turned up tons of conspiracy theories, but no bodies. So where did this come from? The area has been associated with evil spirits and the Teligit lore for centuries, attributing trickster demons for luring people into an icy death. Ooh. Others believe the area exists among a electromagnetically influenced vile vortex. That's a very hard sentence to say, like really fast.
But I love how you made it through that, but not wilderness.
Right? That's my problem. I can say the hard shit, but I can't say easy things. I've always been like that. I don't know what's wrong with my brain. Regardless, the area continues to claim people, and underneath that massive blanket of snow and rock likely lies one of the largest and best preserved mass graves in the world. So yikes, Alaska.
It's like, I'm just wondering, like, how proud are you of it? Like, is this something you tell your tourists, or
Oh, man.
or you just bury it?
I mean, I can understand that it's like a very treacherous area in certain times of year. It's also one of the most beautiful places in the country, I think.
I know. I want to visit, but I'm starting to have my thoughts.
Poor Cassie. When she joined Patreon, I think I obsessively asked her about whale watching. I like, stop talking to me.
Or better yet, there's more than whale watching.
Yeah. God bless our Patreon. I'm so annoying because I'm like, oh my God, I want to go do this and this. I'm such a nerd. And they're just like, okay, stop, Kyna. It's fine. All right, next, Arkansas. We have a lot of Patreon from Arkansas, so here we go. I threw in 2 because there's so many of us from Arkansas. So the first one is The Dog Boy, which I had never heard of.
I don't know this one.
No, the name sounds kind of lame, but if you find yourself at 65 Mulberry Street in the middle of the tiny-ass Arkansas town Whitman, which is spelt Quitman, but do not call it Quitman when you're in Whitman or they will be pissed.
So you're pronouncing it with a W?
Yes.
Okay. I don't know these things. So I'm like, all right. I don't even know. You always pronounce shit weird. This is why we can't pronounce anything.
Yeah, it's true. Yeah, it's spelt Quit Man, but if you know people from Whitman, they were like, no, it is Whitman. Like, yeah, I had somebody when I went to UCA, they were very offended that I said it wrong. I was like, I'm sorry. But it's also where there's a bunch of earthquakes in Arkansas now, like the epicenter of the major quakes by Conway and stuff. They come from Whitman.
Oh, okay. That's fun.
Yeah.
Oh, boy.
Anyway, so if you're on this street in Whitman, you won't be laughing at its lame-ass name when you see a hulking outline of a 300-pound half-man, half-beast, complete with glowing animal eyes.
Damn.
So, yes. Legend states that Gerald Floyd Bettis was a deranged lunatic who gained supernatural, probably satanic powers by performing grotesque experiments on dogs in his house. No.
No.
No. I can't do dog stuff. I mean, I refuse to watch movies where dogs get hurt, and I don't know why I keep on daring all these monsters to eat dogs. It makes me really sad.
It makes me think of, what's the famous story, like, is it Monroe's Island or something?
I don't know.
I feel so dumb right now. Anyways, it's an island of, like, all this animal testing, basically. And it's making me think of that. But in Arkansas, great.
Oh, yay. So this is actually one of the rare occurrences where an urban legend is less terrible than the actual history behind it. Gerald Bettis, the only son of the Bettis family of 65 Mulberry Lane, was always a problem child, according to everybody. He would collect and torture animals before turning his sociopathic focus to his elderly parents. He allegedly imprisoned them in their own home and then actually ended up, murdering them. Eventually, he was imprisoned for growing marijuana on his back porch. That's what did it. He was killing people. Nobody cared. But grow pot, you're gonna rot in prison, apparently. So he died in the state penitentiary in 1988 of a drug overdose, ironically. So there's that. Oh, Jeff said the island of Dr. Moreau. I don't know.
I know, I just Googled it. Thank you, Jeff. Monroe, at least I was close, versus like Smith,
It's true.
Thank you, Jeff.
And for those of you that didn't know, we are live now, so if we're answering people, it's because they can comment while we talk. So just join Patreon and you can talk to us while we talk. Yay, shameless plug. I honestly thought that the urban legend for Arkansas was going to be the folk monster, because that's the one I've always heard of.
The what?
The folk monster. It's the Boggy Creek Monster of Folk, Arkansas. He's the Arkansas version of the Sasquatch, and he's 7 or 8 feet tall, covered in hair. Legend says he roams the creeks of rural Arkansas. He was first spotted in 1834 when people reported seeing a wild man.
This is Sasquatch. That's not special.
Yeah, it's like southern Arkansas. Yeah. But they have like a festival, and they have like giant statues and shit. Yeah, it's a whole thing. There was a movie, like the Boggy Creek something. There's a movie.
Okay. I know the movie. All right.
Yeah.
I didn't realize it was, I knew it was based off of something in Arkansas, but I didn't know that was the monster and actual thing. I gotcha. I'm with you now.
Yeah, Arkansas has a Bigfoot hunter club, and then they do the Paranormal Expo in Little Rock every year.
Yes, they do.
Although I'm friends with the person that runs that, so I was like, if you need a live podcast, we'll come. So that's in the works. So hopefully she'll be like, yeah, and then we could talk to the Bigfoot people.
We made it.
Right? All right, next one, California.
Sorry.
This is great. Okay, California. Many horrors of the Turnbull Canyon. So it's located near LA between Whittier and the City of Industry. Turnbull is a 49,000-acre smorgasbord of nightmare fuel set amid the scenic hills. The natives called it Hudanunya, oh my god, or the place of the devil, or the ghosts of those slain for not converting to Christianity dwell. Apparently alongside witches and Satanists, who reportedly used the place to sacrifice children.
Oh.
A lot of shit went down. Spirits now walk the canyon or dangle from trees. They're joined by the ghost of 21 kids who perished in a plane crash back in 1952. And it says allegedly, because there's no actual reports of that, so that's probably just a legend. There was also an old insane asylum that came back to life to kill a teen in the 1960s via a long dormant electrical wire. There are cults, alien encounters, gravity hills, and it just keeps on going. So basically anything that could creep you out and get under your skin apparently happens in this cursed canyon. So good job, California. And then where it came from, the place's evil devil vibes date back to centuries, though it wasn't until the site was established for a fur trapping site in 1845 that things started getting really intense, with word of the site's terrors traveling far and wide, making it a place visited as much for its beauty as its morbid curiosity. Okay, Florida. Good old Florida. And I kept this first sentence, so don't at me. It says, the Everglades are filled with an array of terrifying creatures. Man-eating alligators, man-eating snakes, and men-eating roadkill. You get it? You get it? I thought it was funny. However, one human...
All I know is I'm vegetarian. Like, so the man they're like eating roadkill. I'm like, that is so gross.
Yeah. I'm sure that was like a Beverly Hillbillies joke, wasn't it? That they were eating roadkill. Arkansas's got its fair share, you know.
Or Jeff Foxworthy, or...
Oh, yeah.
I don't know. It's been said a lot. It's not new. It's okay.
Yeah. We get it too, Florida. It's fine. So, however, one human-like figure has been spotted enough times to warrant elevated levels of concern: the skunk ape. He's a relative of Bigfoot. A fully grown skunk ape stands anywhere from 5 to 7 feet tall and weighs approximately 450 pounds. So he's a big old boy. They can be detected by a horrific odor that's been described as a, quote, sun-baked animal carcass. I can't even get through that. I just knew how your face was going.
Like, why, Florida? Why?
And rotting garbage is the other descriptor. They mostly eat berries and small animals, but from time to time, they've been known to ravage farms and tear wild boars to shred. Recently, a skunk ape headquarters popped up in the Everglades. Because, of course, it did. So you can actually take tours out in the swamp and go on hunting expeditions to finally prove that the hairy beast is real.
Oh, yeah, I definitely want a tour.
Hell yeah. I kind of want to be on one of those, like, boats, you know, the Everglades, and be like Archer. Cause, yeah.
Well, yeah, but I don't need to look for a skunk creature.
It's true.
I just want to be on the boat.
Airboat? Is that what they're called? I think so.
Jeff.
Fact checker Jeff. Anyway, nobody knows where this came from, but because its lineage can be traced back to Bigfoot, many believe that it migrated south from the mountains and found refuge in the swamplands. This environment is safe from humans with ample sustenance to roam and room. Others believe it's just a lure a tale pioneers created in order to scare people off their lands and preserve their wilderness. That one seems the most logical, honestly. Most of these lures are probably like, get off my land, bitch.
I know.
I did.
Like
the monster's gonna eat you. Get off. The next one, Indiana. Diana of the Dunes is the lore here. Along the shores of Lake Michigan, fishermen, vacationers, and other passerbys have reported sightings of Diana, a ghostly nude female apparition floating along the shoreline and eventually disappearing into the water without a trace. It's like that's the scariest thing Indiana. I know. I'm like, the scariest thing Indiana can come up with is just a naked lady. Although Lake Michigan is cold as shit, so I don't think you want to be skinny dipping.
No.
I've only been on it once. And it was the first time I met my father-in-law. And he asked me if I could swim. And I said yes. And he's like, doesn't matter. You fall in, you're dead. It's too cold. I was like, cool.
Like, and the purpose of the first question was?
I think he's trying to gauge my reaction. It's like, that's okay.
It sounds like something my dad would say. He's like, I'm like, no. That's all right.
But I didn't fall in, so it's all okay. So, where this came from, fishermen first started reporting sightings of this woman skinny dipping in the waters off Indiana's Lake Michigan coastline in 1916. And that's because Alice Gray, the source of the legend, was very much alive at that point. She was kind of a hermit living in a shack by the lake. And it was just going out for a little swim. So, in this case, there's actually a logical explanation.
Was she going for naked?
Yeah, I guess. She might just be a wild, hermit hippie that wants to just be free. And they also have a Bigfoot. This time it's an Indiana-based version running around and scaring the crap out of people. He is 7 feet tall with yellow eyes.
Okay, sounds legit.
It's like each Bigfoot has just like one little thing different than the other one.
I know.
It's our Bigfoot. It's fun.
I just love it seems like almost every state has their own version of Bigfoot, but we don't have any pictures of it.
It's true. Yeah, except for that one blurry one.
Of course it's blurry. With today's technology, of course it's blurry.
My favorite joke of all time, Mitch Hedgeberg, he was brilliant. He had a joke that said that the problem with Bigfoot is that he's blurry and that somewhere there's an out-of-focus monster roaming the countryside, and that's fucking terrifying.
That would be terrifying. I would be. I'm like, why did I not see this and just run away? I would.
Yes. Oh, God. Anyway, New Jersey. So the one most people know is the Jersey Devil. The story of the Jersey Devil has been around since the 1700s. The legend states that a woman named Mother Leeds became pregnant with her 13th child, no thank you, and said, let this one be of the devil. And then once the child was born, it grew hooves, wings, horns, and tail. She got her wish. Now the monster has been spotted periodically throughout history in the Pine Barrens region of New Jersey, and the state has actually embraced this legend so much that they named their hockey team after it. But more recently, it's one of the more recent urban legends to come, because it's started in 2015. It's called The Watcher. So more recently, The Watcher has become popular as the legend creeped its way because of viral fame. In the summer of 2015, a young family moved into a $1 million house in Westville, New Jersey. Must be nice. Soon after, they started getting letters signed by someone IDing themselves as, quote, the Watcher, claiming it was his duty to watch over the house while also spouting crazy lines like, do you need to fill the house with the young blood I requested? So a bunch of weird shit. And then he would also write, who has the bedroom facing the street? Like really creepy shit. So it was somebody that was watching the house, seeing who was in it. He knew, like, what room the kids were in and would, like, write about it and stuff. So he's really freaking people out. Some people say it's a prank based off of, like, an accepted local legend. Some people think it's a media hoax. Some people think it's a way to drive down real estate prices. But it's really impossible to know. But somebody else moved in the house, and the letters are still coming. So it's one of those things, like, it just started happening, and people are still trying to figure out this letter. But if I made a place, somebody sending me creepy-ass letters being like, I'm watching you. You're like, fuck this.
Yeah, no, I'd be moving pretty quick.
Yeah, I don't like the thought of somebody, like, watching you through the windows and knowing, like, which bedroom you have and what you do all day. No. So.
No, they would be bored. They would change their minds pretty quickly. For me, at least.
True. Yeah, I'm very boring, too. It's mostly sitting on the couch with a laptop. I'm very boring. But I also don't want people watching me. Like, Zeke was on a work trip last week. That's the only time when he's here I could give a fuck if the windows are locked and the doors unlocked or whatever. But when he's gone, I'm just, like, obsessively, is all the windows closed? All the blinds down? Is the door locked? Yeah, freaks me out. I don't want to get murdered.
Murdered.
The next, I went too far. North Carolina. So we've already talked about this one. It's the Beast of Bladdenboro. Bladdenboro. Shit. Bladdenboro. That's what you talked about, were the cryptids. So, a little refresher, it's just a vampiric cat beast that might also be part bear, and he will brutally murder the fuck out of your pets and livestock. I tried to find another one since you already covered it, but that was the only one that popped up on, like, 4 different sites about urban legends in every state, so.
Oh, that's good. Sounds good.
North Dakota. The gates of hell.
Oh my god. No.
Carrie. I need you to go and report back.
Well, no, don't. Just escape.
Don't go alone, though. So abandoned towns are generally creepy, but North Dakota has an abundance of them because of the railroad boom. Tegas, though, takes the cake due to a little fact that people believe that it once housed a Lutheran church that doubled as a hotbed for Satan worship. Legend is it burned down, but if you stand in the right place, you can hear the screams of the damned bubbling up from hell itself. This is very theatrical. I am digging it. Okay. There are also reports of hellhounds, glowing gravestones, and a ghost train. Vandals and revelers have made the few people who called Tegas, did I say Tegas the first time? Tegas home. Very wary of visitors, and Lord knows the combination of rumored portal to hell and extremely unwelcoming locals in a small town is a horror movie fodder. So where did it come from? The Satan business dates back to the satanic panic of the 80s. The Tegas has been spooky since it was founded in 1900, and ever since the late 80s, when hundreds of high schoolers turned up for vandalism intensive Halloween parties, people are kind of run out of the ghost town. Visitors have been met with extreme skepticism, but the city actually had another church burned down in 2001, so people are like, it's still happening. It is hell. Run. We won't see. I won't go there. But if you have been there, let me know. Do you hear the screams of the damned?
Like, Carrie, please don't go.
Do you smell fire and brimstone? I need to know. So next one, Oregon. The Bandage Man of Cannon Beach. It's very, also, very descriptive. Bandage Man, like a mummy.
Okay. Yep, that's one picture.
Far from the rooted-in history scares of Portland's Shanghai tunnels, the Bandage Man haunts a lonely patch of decommissioned highway near the idyllic coast of Cannon Beach. Like many slightly pervy ghosts, he likes to mess with randy teenagers making out in their cars. Although some of the more sinister legends have him eating dogs, wandering the wind-swept roadside, and even jumping in the back of pickups and sedans, filling this car with the scent of rotting flesh. Fuck that shit. No.
That's so gross.
I mean, there's all those legends of, like, hitchhiker ghosts and shit, but, like, you have to stop to let them in. That's been scarier, because he's just jumping in while you're driving by. I did not consent to that, sir. No. So where it came from. The Bandage Man, most popular thought to be a logger that was hacked up in a mill nearby. made his earliest documented appearance in the 50s, and he was likely a spooky story told around beach bonfires by teens, watching all those scary movies, hence the mummy roots. In the U.S., there's not a lot of mummies here. Still, after hearing that tale late at night and retiring to the confines of the secluded row, the story was creepy, and a lot of people started to believe it. Tennessee! I'm almost done, I promise.
I'm glad we have a lot of patrons. So.
We do. Tennessee has the Bell Witch. The haunting of the Bell family began in 1817 after the father, John Bell, witnessed some sort of rabbit-headed dog in his field and then tried to shoot it, naturally. From that night on, the family experienced tappings on the doors and windows, sheets slowly being pulled off their beds, which is my fucking nightmare. I don't know why that scares me. Like, things messing with me on the bed. Like Paranormal Activity, when they pull the sheets off and grab their foot and drag them down the hall.
Yeah, no. Anything in the bed, like, I make sure I don't have my feet over the edges. I can't stand The Grudge. It's probably one of the few scary movies that freaks me out more than anything, when it's coming under the bed and you see of the sheets and everything. You pull it open and then roar. And I don't even believe in ghosts and stuff, but that stuff, that freaks me out.
I don't like it. I don't like it at all. Eventually, a voice of a woman named Kate, who was dead set on destroying the family, showed up. Elizabeth Bell, the daughter of John, received the worst of the abuse and was slapped and pinched until her body was covered in bruises. Also, hard pass. John Bell decided at first to keep these events quiet because he didn't want to be crazy, because, this was the 1800s. They'd be like, yo, witch. So he finally confided in a friend, and then a committee was formed to investigate the strange happenings. The spirit identified herself as Kate Batts, a neighbor of the Bells, with whom John Bell had some bad business dealings with, and then they just started calling her Ghost Kate. 3 Bell's sons had fought under General Andrew Jackson, and Jackson was so intrigued by this story that he insisted on visiting the family. The witch taunted his men, held the carriage wheels still, and called out the frauds and Jackson entourage until they were seen in the field the next morning. So it scared the shit out of them, and then they all just took off to Nashville. So Jackson's like, I'm a badass, I'm going to look at this ghost, and then he ran away. Kate continued to torment the family, relentlessly vowing to kill John Bell. When Bell breathed his last breath in 1820, a vial of what was presumably poison was found next to his bed. The Bell Witch website says, John Bell Jr. gave some of it to the cat, which died instantly. The entity then spoke up into thin air, exclaiming joyfully, I gave old Jack a big dose of that last night, which fixed him. End quote. John Jr. quickly threw the vial into the fireplace, where it burst into bright bluish flames and shot up the chimney. So that's from the museum's website. It's very elaborate. After the death of John, she just went away. Nobody ever saw her again. But the area is a hotbed for activity, so people claiming to hear sounds, see candlelights, and then they photograph orbs. And then a lot of people think that the cave is a portal for which the witch can enter in and out of dimensions. Good times.
Yeah.
Anyway, Texas! Yay! Chaos! Black-eyed children. Have you ever heard of them?
Only in Coraline.
That movie is really creepy. I just watched it recently, and I was like, man, this is creepier than I ever remembered it being.
The black eyes.
Scary movies constantly have people fearing old country back roads, abandoned homes, and kids popping out of cornfields, but the black-eyed children are known to be seen wandering around totally normal, non-threatening places like Walmart and your Sonic drive-in. And worse, they're rumored to put their victims in a tight situation by starting at asking for something totally unsuspecting, like a ride home or some petty cash. So where did it come from? The first documented case of black-eyed children came in 1996 from reporter Brian Bethel, who had pulled his car into a parking lot of an Abilene movie theater to use a bright marquee light to write a check. While filling out the check, 2 young kids between the age of 9 and 12 approached the car, knocked on the window, and asked for a ride home. The children, totally unnerved Bethel, claimed that they didn't have a gun. So it was the first thing they said, like, we need a ride. We don't have a gun. Just totally casual. And he was like, well, that's weird. And then he made eye contact with them, and he noticed they had cool black eyes. He said the sort of eyes one sees on aliens or those vampire things you see on late night television. He also noted immediately a soul-racking fear, and he couldn't understand why. The older boy began to get frustrated when he wouldn't let him in the car, and he kept saying, we can't get in unless you say we can. So then he sped off. It's like, fuck you, I'm done. There were after this came out, there was a lot of other stories. There's one where, like, an old couple, the door, they're like, can we come in and use your bathroom? And they did. And then they were, like, wandering around the house being all weird and shit with the black eyes. And then they're like, oh, my parents are here. And they saw, like, two weird, skinny people at the end of the driveway. And when they left, the man started having nosebleeds, and he went to the doctor, and he had advanced cancer, like you would if you had, like, radiation poisoning. There's a lot of weird shit. But a lot of people think it's like a no sleep or one of those creepypastas stories. So, hard to tell. Washington, the 13 steps to hell.
That's right. Basically, just stay away from the north is what I'm hearing.
I know, those are the worst. Like, down south, we got some, like, furry ape things. Upstairs. Up north is, like, hell portal.
Upstairs. I like that.
Man, guys.
No, just stay out of the woods, pretty much.
Yeah. So, the Maltby Cemetery itself is subject of rumors associating with Satanism. Is rumored to include a subterranean tomb for a really creepy rich family that could be assessed by 13 steps. And it led to their final resting place, or the final resting place of every damn soul in history, as legend has it. So ascending or descending the entire staircase is said to give you a glimpse of hell itself. So where it came from. The cemetery has been around since 1901, though the crypt itself date has been lost to time, as have the stairs themselves, which have been bulldozed and covered over in concrete, which also rude. It seems like historical. I'm offended. That hasn't stopped curious paranormal masochists from trespassing on the secluded private property, allegedly showing up at the cemetery at night, eager to unearth the hill, whatever's going on, activities. And then they said they see, like, ghosts and shit, but it was a little anticlimactic at the end. And then our last Patreon is from Finland. So I had to find one. And I'm going to butcher this. I'm so sorry. But the Naki is a Finnish urban legend that shares dark similarities to other supernatural creatures like a siren. It is said that they can be found in springs or wells and appear to be friendly upon the first glance. However, they have a murderous nature. The legend says that they will lure children out into deep water and then drown them. And then once they're drowning people, their ghastly appearance becomes apparent. That took a turn. It's a good one to end on, you know?
I like it.
Murdering children.
I don't know if I like that, but it's a good story.
Man, Europe has some wild-ass lore. I was going through them. I was like, holy shit. These are not great.
I know, and in India, I'm like, don't have two wives. I'm like, this is great. I know there's a lot more to that country, so please think I'm thinking that. But that one was funny.
So yeah, everybody stay. I think right now, the Watcher one creeps me out the most, just because that seems like something that would be happening. Just stalker.
I say that one's the most plausible.
Mm-hmm.
You don't have to. It doesn't have to be a monster. It's just a human, just somebody watching you. It's creepy.
But I also don't want to be at a hellmouth or stairs to hell.
Just
it scares me.
I've seen Supernatural. I know that kind of shit that happens around there.
Anyway, next.
So, morbid or weird?
Weird.
Okay. That's cool. That's the one I was kind of leaning towards. Okay. So, this is another fun, crazy list. And it is just random, weird folklore myths reading this list a lot I have heard of, either for TV shows or books and everything. There's always, in all of these that I read, there was an element that I hadn't heard. And so that's why I picked this one. And I thought, like, okay. So,
cool.
The first one is Selkies. Selkies are mythological creatures found in Scottish, Irish folklore, and they are essentially seals who live in the sea, but they can remove their skin to reveal a human form and can live on land, which sounds very practical and legit.
I'm just like imagining a seal with like a zipper, just be like zoom.
Or imagine like a skate molting like, real quick or something.
I don't
know. It's weird. I don't know how things like this really work. There are different variations of the origin of a Selkie. Selkies were thought to have been humans who have drowned at sea, and on one night of the year they are allowed to return to land as their human self.
Oh.
That's something I didn't know.
I didn't know that either.
The fact that they might have once been human and they just died, like a sailor that died on a ship.
It's kind of like in Pirates of the Caribbean, where he used to come on land, like, so sad.
Other theories are that Selkies are humans who did something extremely bad, and when they were human, and whatever they did that was so wrong, it doomed them to this form for all eternity as a punishment. Female Selkies are known to attract human husbands and can start a family on land. And this is weird for me. It says, so however, the husband must hide the seal skin from her so that she can stay as a human, because if it is found, then she will take on her Selkie form and return to the sea forever, as the sea is their true love.
Oh. I've never heard that before. That is wild. Huh.
So I'm like, okay. So that's
all right.
Fun stuff to the south.
I find it interesting that a lot of these legends and cryptids and such, like the women are like beautiful when they're not being a horrific monster and they can like marry people.
I know, they're like extremes. They're like, just beautiful woman with, long hair. And then they turn into a man-eating monster.
Yeah, like the Manigal. The same thing, like, but she's not ripping your organs out through a mosquito-like straw. She's just, like, pretty and ready to husband you up.
It's a weird way to phrase it. Moving on, vampires.
Yes.
Speaking of. A vampire is a mythical being who sustains life from getting blood, blah, blah, blah. We know this. And folklore legends dictate that vampires were a result of people who murdered or committed suicide in their lifetime, as being a vampire was their punishment for that kind of crime. I had not heard that.
I hadn't either.
I thought it was like, we have Dracula and then he spreads his disease or whatever. Or, there's all kinds of different origins, but I hadn't heard that one. That, again, someone was once human, but they murdered someone or they committed suicide and became this vampire. There are many different variations of vampire across the world. Some countries believe that they exist because of the devil made them, whereas others believe they are a dead and monstrous form of their human self with some unfinished business. They normally return to loved ones to transform them into vampires too, so they can be reunited for eternity, or they'll generally just eat people.
It's all say, I just want to be with my family forever, and then they're just straight out murking people out.
Like, don't piss me off, fucker. In Ireland, it's a lot of vowels. Sure, it's Bearg.
I need to add that to the bingo sheet, but that's a lot of vowels.
Bearg. And then Due. 2 words.
Oh, wow.
Dear do. Dear do. It means red bloodsucker.
Okay. Shouldn't laugh because I'm about to say a language I couldn't even find a pronunciation on in my next story, like next week. So,
we just own it. You get it honest. It's one thing to read these words and you never hear of them. So
yeah,
I think it's part of our charm, or at least.
And the Arkansas accent doesn't help.
So yeah, even if I know it's correct, it's not coming out that way.
No.
That one I have no idea about. Anyway, so this dear do, meaning red blood sucker, was a beautiful woman once upon a time, and her, of course, beautiful, gorgeous, and her family wanted her to marry for wealth and status, as opposed to love. Unfortunately, she fell in love with a local peasant, but ended up marrying a cruel husband who tortured her both physically and psychologically, like you do. And she killed herself to escape her evil partner and rose from the dead as a vampire, where she killed her family and mostly men for her revenge.
Okay. Well, I mean, I feel like that's justified, honestly.
And I think it goes on to say, money really isn't everything. In other parts of the world, there is such a thing as vampiristic pumpkins, which would become possessed and grow huge and then smash you to bits.
No. Yep. No, I don't like that.
It would squash you.
No. I think squatchy because it's a squash. But okay.
That's terrible. I'm not acknowledging.
It's fine. I think I'm funny.
I know. It makes me think of there's the picture book, The Ugly Pumpkin. It's one of my favorite ones. I read it for Thanksgiving every year. And it's some long, narrow plant. He thinks he's a pumpkin, and he's trying to find a home because the pumpkins don't want him. They're like, no, you're ugly. And then he tries to make friends with, because it's right after Halloween, getting into Thanksgiving. So there's a skeleton, there's the spooky trees, but no one accepts him. And so he stumbles upon a garden celebrating Thanksgiving. And all of a sudden he goes, oh my gosh, I'm a squash. Because everyone at the little feast were all different kinds of squash, and they all looked weird shaped and whatnot. And so he's like, I fit in, my people. So it's all sweet and cute.
Aww.
All right. That's story time. Now, mermaids.
Ooh, yes. Are these like the man-eating mermaids?
You'll find out.
Okay.
Usually, yes. The term mermaid is a compound of Old English words, mare, which is actually refers to the sea, and of course maid, which is a lady. They are often depicted as human, of course, and always described with their unnatural beauty, like you do as our trend is happening. And usually they are described as maleficent. And they're usually blamed for shipwrecks and drownings and storms and floods. And mermaids and sirens are often associated with one another. And mermaids are usually mistaken for being a siren, as they are believed to lure sailors to their death and calling out to them singing and making them fall into a trance-like state. Mermaids are also thought to have previously been human who were in love with a sailor who died at sea, and their mourning turned them into a mythical creature who would weep and wail for their former lover. That part, I didn't know.
I didn't know that either. That's really sad.
The first origin story of a mermaid is a result of a woman who unintentionally unintentionally killed her lover, and ashamed with what she had done, turned into the sea and took form of a fish.
Oh man, that's like the original tale of Mermaid, or Little Mermaid. She can't save Eric, and then she turns into sea foam.
Yep, and that's...
Or no, wait. Eric leaves her for somebody else, and she's depressed, and she becomes sea foam. That's it. Fucking fairy tales. They're so horrifying.
This next one I thought was kind of interesting. It's it mentions the ritual of Bloody Mary, but that's actually not the part I'm interested in. It was, I'll read the beginning of this. It's like the ritual of summoning Bloody Mary was not always a scary one. In the days before Tinder, women was walking.
Sorry, I don't know why I find that so funny. But
author who wrote this article, I like that you had that. I like what women used to do, and that would be to walk backwards up the flight of stairs at night, holding a candle and a mirror in their hands. And when they looked into the mirror, they would either see the face of their future husband or the Grim Reaper, which meant that they would die before they were married.
Oh, that's dark. That's really dark.
I know. And my thing is, how the fuck do you go upstairs backwards?
I would bust my ass like third step up. I can't even walk on straight pavement without tripping.
Yeah. And even so, like, when I'm going upstairs, I have to look at like every single step. And this is a person trying to hold a mirror, looking at this, and they're going up backwards.
With a candle, you're gonna burn the fucking house down. What are you doing? No.
Yeah. And then the rest of the Bloody Mary stuff is the same. Like, you say it 3 times and see what happens. But that part about walking up backwards to see if it's your husband or the Grim Reaper.
Man, I remember being at sleepovers when I was a kid, and like people would want to do the Bloody Mary thing and be like, "Yeah, come in here too," or like the bathroom, and I'd be like, close my eyes, I'm like, "Yeah, I'm looking." I don't like to summon shit. I just no. But I also remember friends being like, "Let's do a Ouija board and find out who our future husbands are going to be." I'm like, "No, your future husband's going to be a goddamn demon." No. So, moral of the story is I've always been like this. Sorry.
No, that is weird. And also, I don't understand like the obsession of trying to find your husband.
I don't know if it's like there was nothing else to do where I was from. I mean, same thing with yours. There was nothing to do, so I can understand why we had like to entertain ourselves doing weird shit. But
and that's the last thing I need to know.
Yeah, I saw today that Melissa McCartney, I think she said her 4-year-old saw Aladdin, and she was just basically like, "Fuck this shit. I don't need some man bringing me a magic carpet. You take me to the store and buy me my own magic carpet, and I'll do my own exploring." And she's like, "All right, let's go to the store." So they went to one of those like stores to buy the really elaborate carpets or whatever.
Like everyone thinks that now. I hope at 6 or adulthood.
I know, before society warps you.
I know.
Looking at a Ouija board to find out who your future husband is. I didn't do that either. Because I was like, I'm never going to get married. Look at me now.
Yeah, I have no interest, and actually neither does free. So, I've got one more, and that's some interesting cures for cancer. Like lathering your skin with honey, and then incinerating a dog's skull, and then rubbing the ashes on your face.
No.
Well, I mean, it doesn't have to be like you go kill the dog and then that happened. It could be like a pet from 10 years ago.
I'm going to take a stab at it that did not work.
I'm going to guess probably no. I've had cancer, so I don't know.
Yeah.
I don't have scientific context clues and don't always understand medical jargon.
Same.
But there are many unorthodox practices that are active today, and whilst most people swear by it, they aren't recommended by your GP and will probably think that you're a bit weird. However, before the days of professional doctors, there were so-called witch doctors or spiritual doctors, and they believed in healing the spirit, which would heal the body, of course, blah, blah, blah. People saw any kind of healing power that they could in order to get better, and it was majority of society were peasants, so couldn't really afford anything, and they would believe in anything. In the late 19th century, people believed that if you held a church door key, then it would heal your skin if you were ever bitten by a dog, and that touching the rope of a hanging man would cure fits. A toothache could be prevented by wearing a dead mole around your neck.
Oh, no. No.
I'm also like, How do you have friends with
You just go into town with your dead mole around your neck. Hey guys.
even if you tuck into your shirt, like,
the
one,
smell.
get your skin, and yeah, then that's gotta smell pretty bad.
Oh, you'd be the smelly kid. Nobody wants to be the smelly kid. Your rotting corpse.
Yeah,
but you don't have a toothache, so I guess you're still a delight to be around. Toothaches are pretty horrible.
It says the only way to eradicate the tooth pain, if the dead mole strategy didn't work, then you could hammer a nail into the tooth until you started to bleed.
No!
Remove the nail and then drive it into a tree to transfer the pain.
So it's basically like a root canal without anesthetic, because you're just like smashing all the roots, right?
Mm-hmm.
So, I guess technically it'd work, but fuck that. No. No. Mm-mm. No, do some cocaine about it. That's what other people did about toothaches. Don't put a nail in there.
That should be a catchphrase. Don't put...
Yeah. When I worked at a museum a long time ago, there was a little dental cocaine kid. Just like, man, we've come a long way, But you're not even like, it's not even that you're not in pain. It's just you probably just don't give a fuck at that point.
No.
You're on cocaine. So crazy. Man.
Yeah, so I'll leave you with that. But I'd rather wear a mole.
Yeah, I would rather wear a mole than put a hammer and nail through my tooth, too.
Jeff, if you're still watching, and Kat, if you're
yeah, 2 people are watching. We're sorry, guys.
Really curious what your response.
Yeah. Which would you rather have, the dead mole carcass or a nail? Inquiring minds need to know.
It's so bad.
So bad.
And like the cure for cancer is like, let's put honey on your skin and dog ash.
Oh, well, in Arkansas we had Eureka Springs where the guy's like, let's just drink some Eureka Spring water with some like cleaning supplies in it and it'll cure your cancer.
We know people are drinking pee now.
Oh my God.
Have you heard that?
No.
That is a trend.
No. Thank
you, Jeff.
Question mark?
Jeff. Thank you.
Oh, God.
We're collecting data. This is important.
I remember a long time ago people put pee on their face in the morning because they said it would clear your complexion.
Now people are
I'd rather have pimples than no.
Yeah, me too. I'll just deal with it. But yeah, now people are drinking it, and like you can even sell your own.
For how much?
It's a lot here. We're Googling this shit.
I don't think I could sell feet pics because my giant ass feet, but if I can sell some feet, make some extra cash. I'm not above it.
And it's like aged too. Like you can let it sit on a shelf for like a month.
I don't know. No.
Mm-hmm.
What is wrong with people? This is stuff you do if you're like stranded on a raft in the middle of the ocean and you have to survive. Then you drink your piss. You don't do it when you're freaking first world country problems. You just don't. This is Survivor.
I don't see the cost, but I don't really want that in my search engine though either.
Well, I hate to move on to our newest Patreon after fifth morning drinking your pee. But here we are. So we have a new Patreon, and it's Carrie K.
Yay! Yay, Carrie. And I'm sorry that I didn't mention that before giving you a shout out.
Many apologies. Please don't leave.
Please don't leave, and hopefully you're entertained.
Yeah, hopefully. And we have another fellow Texan. Yes. There's like...
This is not a contest, though.
I know. Well, Arkansas is still winning as far as, like, people, but now Texas is like a close second. Definitely, we're so excited to have you, Carrie.
Yes.
Can't wait to get to know you. We don't want to come on too strong, though.
Already know us. I know.
Like, I know she's in the secret Facebook group. She hasn't said anything yet, so I'm like, I'm not going to push it. I always send a welcome email, and then I'm like, I won't be too overbearing. I try to contain myself, but I get so excited. I can't. It's fine.
We are happy you're here. Thank you very much.
Yes, we're so excited to have you, and you will be getting a letter in the mail soon as the stickers come in, because I'm out of them. Same thing with you, Taru. We haven't forgot about you. I'm still sending you a letter. I'm still waiting on stickers. Yeah. So if you want to join Patreon and see the clusterfuck that is us live podcasting, and
I think we're quite glamorous with our coughs and belches and dogs farting.
Oh yeah, it's fun. Yeah, I've noticed that in the last few episodes that we've done live, like I've cut out like an hour and a half of podcast.
Yeah, we get chatty
just to get it, at decent time for regular podcast stuff. But yeah, it's fun. You should join, and that's patreon.com/historicalafpod. And there's different tiers, and you get different stuff. But yeah, highly recommend. Of course, I would, but I think we have a lot of cool stuff. I love our drunk dives so much. Like, they're so fun. I just wish everybody could see them. So you should join so you can see them.
And of course, we have our social media on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, Historical AF Pod, where we share all kinds of glamorous, glorious things to bring amusement to your face and brain. Like memes and I don't know, my favorite parts of the memes. That's why I always go straight to the memes, because those are my favorites. And of course, we share photos for the episodes and everything, so you can get a more visual picture of stuff too.
Yeah.
A more visual picture of what we're describing. Sometimes you don't.
And also, we need some listener stories for March. So send those in to historicalafpod@gmail.com. And that could be anything. Like, legends. If we don't talk about your state, send us your favorite legend and family histories or ghost stories. We love a good ghost story. But literally,
obviously.
Like today on Facebook, I saw somebody post that they are a crime scene cleanup crew person. And I was like, please write into my podcast and tell me what your job is like. I was like, I need to know. So yeah, literally anything. Just send us emails. Anyway, I think that's it. So we'll see you next week. Okay, bye.
Bye, Z's.